Welcome to the Aegance Offscript Podcast, where we talk to industry leaders who share their stories, insights, and lessons, unfiltered and unscripted. I'm your host, Lawrence, and today I'm joined by Benjamin Böhmer, the co-founder of Scalify. Now, Scalify is a consultancy that helps businesses grow and optimize their internal functions, from HR and finances to marketing and legal, so that these businesses can scale efficiently without any of the chaos. Benjamin, thanks so much for joining us.
Perfect. Lawrence, thank you very much for having me and inviting me to your awesome podcast. I'm super happy that we're having the opportunity to discuss a couple of topics. Before we are starting, I will introduce myself. I'm Ben, 38, based in Dubai. I have roughly 15 years of HR experience. I was working for former e-commerce companies. I was HR director of a VW startup. And now I'm self-employed roughly since 3 years with my company Scalify. My co-founder Sarah and I, we're building up the business together. And we founded Scalify because we realized that a lot of companies, initially startups and scale-ups, have a lot of HR challenges and I would not say problems, but they have a lot of unknown and uncertainty how to set up a company structure from scratch with a efficient way that they can also grow the organization fast and sustainable. And this is also our vision, that we would like to partnering up with these companies to have a solid basis on their HR landscape and build an environment where the people can grow, where the company can grow, and where they are building joint forces to set something amazing up.
Yeah, thanks for that context. And if we run with the vision that you've just stated, but we maybe scale that out to a long-term vision, what is that long-term vision? Not just what you're delivering today, but where do you want Scalify to be in 5 years' time?
Yes. So we started with everything around HR consulting. But we have the vision that we would like to support every company with all their business processes, because we strongly believe that besides of HR and people functionalities, you can also get experts in the field of finance, controlling, legal, marketing, and all these business services what are not directly working on your product. If you're a software company, I would like to give you the time that you're working on your software. If you're a manufacturing company, you are building products and you have to do these products better every single day. So therefore, HR, marketing, legal, and so on, this is not your core center of expertise. So therefore, get experts who are doing this on a day-to-day basis. Then you're being much faster. You're reducing your headcount and you're also reducing your overhead cost. And therefore, getting somebody who's super experienced in that, who's much faster and more state-of-the-art compared to your in-house staff, makes things much, much easier. So therefore, this is the vision, and therefore we are partnering up with a lot of other freelancers. We have a huge network what we are working with together. Just in Germany, we have over 150 partners in the HR field, where we would say, okay, with these guys, we can solve every HR challenge and every HR issue with basically every company based in Germany. And to give you also a rough idea, our smallest client is, for example, 10 employees. For them, we are running the payroll. Our biggest customer has 14,000 employees, and they are stock listed in the DAX 40 in Germany. So therefore, we have a huge variation where we also see, okay, all of these companies have a huge demand of getting these professional services in that, because they are not capable of doing that by themselves.
And would you say that your vision has remained quite constant, or have you had to pivot from the original direction you were going in as you learned more about the markets or learned more about the customer needs?
Honestly speaking, 100% that has changed. Because in the early beginning, when Sarah and I decided, hey, let's call our company Scalify, we thought that our target audience will be scale-ups and startups. But we also realized that SMEs and also family-owned companies with a size of 500 to 1,000 employees are getting more and more into our target customers because they have the money, they have also the track record in their products, but most of the times they haven't updated their technology landscape and their technology environment. So therefore, most of these organizations are still doing a lot of manual work, manual labor in the field, what you nowadays can easily digitalize. And therefore, this change in the transition to support these companies into a more digital way, this is one of the biggest challenges what we are supporting with. Because roughly 50% of our time, we're doing software implementation like different HRIS systems like Personio, Workday, Factorial, or other softwares, depends on the request of the customers. But implementing the software is not rocket science. If you're having the time and the experience, it's rather easy or quick to do so. But the most important is that you're having the right change management attitude, because just implementing a software, saying to the staff, hey, from now on, you're working with this software. It's not that it's so easy, because people are getting used to it, that they're having their Excel files, that they have their printed applications, that they have their documents and so on offline. And supporting that with the transition into a more digital way of working, this is one of the biggest challenges where Sarah and I have to maintain the landscape.
And being a co-founder, I'm sure you found that you, at some point in time, had to wear many hats, shoulder many responsibilities. How have you managed to balance growth ambitions with operational focus and delivering for your customers?
So honestly, in the first 1.5 to 2 years, we were in the gorgeous situation that we never had to acquire actively new customers, because they came from word of mouth. We got a lot of referrals, and we had a good stand in our networks. Then Sarah and I, we decided, hey, we would like to move from Germany to Dubai to open up also our services for the entire market over here in the United Arab Emirates. And here we had no network at all. So therefore, we had no name, nobody knows us. And getting into the heads of the people and realizing that we can solve them certain issues and problems what they're having in their HR landscape, that was rather difficult. So therefore, we always try to keep in touch with people in the region. We are partnering up with, for example, a lot of HR consultancies in the region. We also met a lot of people on fairs and exhibitions. We are currently also trying to partnering up with free zones because they are founding the company. So therefore, they can also add more services for their clients. And that was a difficult way. But now we're getting closer to that because we're much more known. And again, also the word of mouth is helping us over here a lot. One of our recent clients, for example, is a real estate company. They wanted to grow from 40 employees to almost double the size. And therefore, we were setting up for them a whole HR landscape and strategy. And now they are having a solid basis on what they can build their whole org structure on. And they know, for example, what to pay the people. They know how to develop them. They know how to run feedback schemes and so on and so on. And with their help, we will also have more customers here in the region. But therefore, there was a little dip, I would say, roughly in the beginning of the year. But now we're back on track, and we're super happy with that.
So you mentioned the German market and the Dubai market. Are there any other markets that you're currently operating within?
Yeah, we have, I would say, pure focus is Germany, but we have a couple of more clients also in Switzerland and Austria. We're partnering with a Swedish company because for them we are doing all the operations for their clients in Germany, for example. In the past, I had some clients in Japan. Now we had a visit to China where we are also having some cooperations ongoing. And apart from that, besides of the direct clients where we're implementing software and doing software migration, I'm always having interims mandates where I'm taking care of internal roles, what are unfilled for the time being. And for these companies, these are most of the time worldwide operating companies. And my current biggest client, the DAX company, they are obviously operating worldwide. They are active in 40 different countries. They have 80 different subsidiaries all over the world. And I'm responsible for the HR controlling team because we're currently in the middle of the budget process. And my team is distributed all over the world. I'm personally the controller for the APAC region. I have 3 employees in Europe, 1 for Germany, 1 for France, and 1 other employee for the rest of the EMEA region, 1 in North America and 1 in LATAM for the South American market. And therefore, these kind of clients are always operating worldwide. So therefore, that helped me also a lot to get a more in-depth knowledge about how HR is handled and perceived in different ecosystems all over the world.
Wow, super interesting, and certainly starting to build a really nice global footprint. When you look at your core markets, though, what do you think will define the most successful HR consultancies over the next decade?
I would say there are 3 pillars what makes a successful HR consultancy even more successful in the future. The first point is knowledge. Know your market, know the abilities, and know the state-of-the-art ways how to deal with the HR or people functionality. The second part is all about AI. AI is one of the biggest levers what makes us faster, more efficient, and gives us time back for the decision-making process. Because AI is doing all the research, gives us all the information what we need, and therefore we as a leader, as a thought leader, as an HR manager, or as a supervisor, we are getting more time to actually making the decision. And this is also facing into the third pillar. I would say it's all about speed. Speed matters. Fast decisions, fast communication, fast reply, because most of our clients appreciate that we are much quicker compared to our competitors, and also that they're having much clearer answer from our perspective. Maybe you also have already worked with some other consultancies. Sometimes you're having a simple question and getting a difficult answer. This is not what our clients want. They have, from their perspective, a difficult question, and we have to answer it in the most simple way. And it sounds easy, but in the reality, it's super difficult to break the complexity down into something simple, what you can execute, and what is also understandable for the people. Because currently, for example, in the budget process for the company I'm currently working in, sending out long emails with a lot of details to over 100, 150 stakeholders, that drives confusion, unclarity, and uncertainty about the process. And narrow it down and make it as crystal clear that somebody sees the message and said, okay, I need to do that at that time, and I exactly know what I have to do. And to have this simplified, this is the key for success. And this is one of our core strengths, that we can translate complex contexts into the most simple way that everybody can understand this. Because in the past, it was maybe not like this, but today we are kind of overwhelmed from all the input impressions what we are getting. I would assume, Lawrence, also for you, your phone is never standing still. You're getting messages all over the day. You're getting calls, you're getting emails, you're getting Slack, you're getting Team, and whatever channel you are using. And therefore, for you to differentiate what really matters, what is my prioritization, and what do I need to do? This is super, super challenging and super, super hard. And therefore, we as a consultant, together with Sarah, we try to make it as easy as possible for our client. In this case, we're guiding them through We're telling them what to do till what time and make it in digestible pieces, because only in this case we're getting the deliverables. And I've seen this with other consultancies where you're having a long project plan with 1 million items. And that is more following the approach. If you cannot convince, you can confuse. Focus into that the people are getting stuck and say, okay, it's too much. I cannot do it anymore. And then we're in a lose-lose situation, because I want that the project will be successful and that the client is happy with the result. But if the client doesn't know what to do, how to do, then these people won't be happy with the result because they are overwhelmed. And this is one of the key elements what we always have to keep in mind.
Yeah, super interesting. And as Scalify grows, how are you ensuring that delivery quality remains consistent across your team and different geographies?
So there are also two drivers. So the one driver is we are always focused on our current clients. That means the current client is always more relevant than any future acquisitions. So therefore, if we are having a client arrangement, then we always give our promises to our client and focus 100%, 110% on the current clients we're having. Because otherwise we cannot stick to our commitments, and there's no option to break our commitments. The second part is that we are partnering with other freelancers. We don't have internal staff. It's Sarah and me who are running the business, and we are 110% aligned on everything what we are doing. And we are working with partners we are trusting to the fullest, because only in this case we can also provide the quality what we're expecting. Why we're having no staff internally, because we easily could hire people. The reason is that we would like to have the flexibility on the one hand, and on the other hand, we would like not to grow our consultancy to 100, 200 people or something like that. This is not our purpose. Our purpose is, for now, that we as knowledge driver, knowledge owner, are being fully in charge of the projects. And if we need the expertise of other consultants, or we are not having the capacity, then we are bringing trustworthy people into the projects where we know that they are delivering in the same quality standard what we are having for ourselves.
And if we could just dive into some of the processes that ensure that consistency of quality remains. Are there any processes that have scaled really well as the business has scaled its footprint?
Yeah, obviously it was also a learning curve for us, because let me share something personal with you. So Sarah and I, we are co-founders, but we are also partners in our private life. So we are married, and starting the business with your wife is kind of challenging, because you know somebody in a private environment, but then you are doing business together. And if you're thinking about yourself, thinking about your partner, how could that look like if you're, besides of your private life, also having your business life together with your partner? And to share with you a little anecdote, in the first month when Sarah and I started working together, she's really expressed about that. She hated her life. Because I was giving her a totally different picture in a business context than she was used to know in a private life. She was working for big corporates. She thought that she's a startup, and then she realized how I perceive startup, and there we had a huge clash. We worked ourselves out on this, and nowadays we clearly know what are the responsibilities of each other, what are the challenges somebody is facing, and how we can solve that together. So therefore, besides of our private partnership, we also realized how our business foundation can look like. And therefore, I cannot dream of a better business and private partner in my life than Sarah. And this is something I'm super grateful for. But this was not giving in the early beginnings. So therefore, we also had to find our way, how we would like to work together. And this is luckily worked out for us. But I also know that from other business partners who also had the same challenge, that for them it didn't work out because the circumstances were too difficult for them and they couldn't separate between personal life and business life. And for Sarah and me, it's not a huge problem because we don't have I would say, Monday to Friday attitude. For us, it's 7 days a week. And for us, it doesn't matter if it's a weekday or a weekend day. If the work is there and we have to do the work, then we're also doing that on Saturday and Sundays. On the other side, when we were saying, hey, I urgently need a day off, then it doesn't matter if it's a weekend or a weekday. Then we're just saying, okay, today no meetings. I'm out. I'm doing whatever suits me, and then I'm back on business. And this is something what I really appreciate because spending so much time with the partner you love and the business partner you trust is absolutely blessing.
Yeah, I mean, that's certainly a unique challenge to have working with your significant other. But, the way that you've explained the flexibility that being a co-founder and a business owner provides, certainly sounds like you figured out the upside of running your own business. But then the flip side of that is obviously the weekend work, which I think is sort of part and parcel for any entrepreneur who's starting a business. Suddenly working for yourself, the idea of working on a Saturday and Sunday makes sense because ultimately the reward comes to you, not to the corporation that you're working for. As Benjamin, as co-founders, you and Sarah, what does operational maturity mean to you?
Can you be a little bit more specific on that?
Yeah, I mean, at what point operationally would you feel that Scalify has matured? I mean, you've been operating now for 3 years. You've sort of worked out those initial kinks in your first 2 years. Then you look to expand the company. Do you feel like operationally you are mature, or there's still a little bit of learning to be done? Maybe some flexing that needs to be done internally as a company?
Yeah. So I would say there's always a learning curve. So therefore, there's not a moment where I would say, okay, now we are done and now we're just executing. Because as I already mentioned in the beginning regarding these most important pillars for us as a consultancy, is also that we are keeping up with the newest technology and with the state-of-the-art opportunities how HR is built now and also in the future. Because our clients, they don't want to see how they can, so to say, updating their environment for the current problems, because they will have also future challenges and future problems. And therefore, it is always our target that we are building the environment that they can grow and be successful also in the next 5 to 10 years. Honestly speaking, I don't have a glass ball where I can see how the future will look like. So therefore, I only know that the future will change. The future will change, especially with AI and the usage of AI. And therefore, every company, every staff, every employee needs to find their way how they can deal with these new technologies. And it's kind of a little bit comparable to the industrialization years ago, where machines were replacing a lot of manual labor. And the employees said, okay, we're all unemployed, machines are replacing us. And today, thinking about the economical market and the workforce market, these people are urgently searched because companies haven't invested into train the people. Companies haven't invested into their apprentices. And therefore, there's a huge demand right now on high qualified people who can, on the one hand, maintain the machines, use the machines, and having also a lot of challenges facing these changes in the past. And this was a mistake, what we cannot undo for now, but we need to know what are our learnings out of this. And our learnings should be, yeah, AI is replacing certain works and certain workforces, but therefore we have to find our way into new markets, what kind of demand will come in the future. This is this is a huge challenge. And therefore, we have to support a lot of companies with exactly these questions, how their workforce will look like in the future. And therefore, I don't have a blueprint with me right now. So therefore, we always have to develop this on an individual side with each customer and support them by being prepared for that what will come into the next years. And this is actually also the lever for us to sell our services, because we are working this out together with the customers to make them a little bit more free for the future and independent of that what will come. But honestly, it's difficult, but it always starts with digitalization, software, clear processes, clear responsibilities, short decision-making process, and adapt to future changes into the economics and also in the technology.
Yeah, so speaking about technology, I mean, seemingly you're using technology to integrate various workflows within your clients' environments, the HR, finances, and sort of legal workflows. How are you able to translate all of that operational data into decision-ready insights for your customers?
First of all, we have to understand the mandatory processes in every organization. So therefore, we are starting with the discovery phase, where we are exploring, okay, what are your regularly processes? How much time does it take? What kind of decision steps you are facing? And then we are thinking about how to support this on the one hand with technology, and who's really needed to be into this process. Because especially, it's maybe a little bit biased, but especially in big corporates, sometimes you're having a lot more decision-making loops than actually needed. And therefore, if you are asking the question, okay, why is this loop needed? Why do you have this decision-making process? And so on and so on. And I would say roughly 50% of the time, the people are saying, yeah, but it's not doable without the decision of this and this person. And then I'm asking why. And as more you are asking why and not getting a sufficient answer, then the people are also starting to questioning the whole process. And most of these decisions are just legacy. And we have to break out of the legacy because legacy is not helpful for us. It is just helpful for crystal clear approaches, what are understandable, and not just to follow a process instead of questioning the sense of all of that. And this is again also the change process, because people are used to a certain pattern, to follow the pattern. And if you would like to break out of the pattern, it's difficult to understand, to digest, and also to make especially supervisors or leaders of the company to follow. Because if a leader in an organization is not standing beside us with this change, the change will most likely not be sufficient because we are not having the positive mindset of the leaders, what they are sharing into the organization, instead of disrupting the process.
And what metrics are actually driving change for your clients?
I would say there are 3 points what we always focus on. The first focus is understanding. The people need to understand why is this change needed. We have it a lot of times that people don't understand why we are implementing a software. So therefore, in the early beginnings, we always say the why, and because only when the people understand the why and what the future target is, the likeliness that the adoption of the software is much, much higher. The second part is being supportive, because I never expect, if I'm rolling out like an SAP or a Workday, what is a huge software and what impacts a lot of processes in the organization, that from day one, everybody understands this. So therefore, I sharing my understanding that questioning the question is a good thing. Taking some time to understand the software and how the software is used is taking some time. It won't be like this, that you're pushing a button and say, okay, now you're trained, now you understood everything, please move on and help yourself. And the third part is aligning the given company processes with the software. And there comes often a problem because companies, they don't have a software in place. They would try to have a process around their current ecosystem and their environment. Now you're coming with the software and trying to duplicate the process, what you had without a software, into a process with the software. That is somehow possible, especially when you are using a highly customized software like SAP. Then the implementation takes ages and you're paying hundreds or millions of euros for the customization of the software, that the software follows exactly the process what you had previously without a software. I'm not a big fan of that. I'm always saying, again, the simplicity of the things is key for success. And that means there are in these standard softwares, for example, also standard processes. And therefore, let's think about why you cannot follow a standard process, because the standard process is much quicker adaptable and implementable into your organization, and it's having less of implementation and customization costs. And most of the customers are saying, no, we need an individual process for that because it is like this, this, and this. And then we are saying, okay, let's think about it. Let's go step by step and think about it. Why do you need the individual process instead of following a standard process? What is much more scalable, much more adaptable, and more understandable for your workforce? And all these three pillars are driving the change forward. And that also causes into a lot of friction sometimes, especially when certain departments are not willing to contribute to the change. Then we're having a lot of discussions and a lot of negotiations. And at the end, our approach is always, we would like to make the HR landscape or the landscape of the whole company much better, much more feasible and more scalable for the future. So therefore, I strongly believe that the ability in the market is given, that we can create a much more healthy environment, but then also the customer has to follow and needs to understand, yes, I need help. If somebody says, hey, I don't need help and actually I can do it by myself, then we always say, go ahead, you can do it by yourself. Whenever you need support, call me, shoot out. We are not leave you alone. But if you believe that you can do it better by yourself, then please go ahead. Because otherwise, consulting somebody who don't want to be consulted, that's not going to work out.
Yeah, that makes complete sense. And you mentioned earlier in the conversation that initially when you started out, you relied on the low-hanging fruit within your immediate network to bring clients on board and sort of get the machine and the wheels of the machine turning. I've heard from most great operators that relying on referrals often gets them only so far, and then it sort of bottlenecks, and they need to expand their client acquisition, go-to-market approach beyond that immediate network. Now you compound that with Scalify stepping into the Dubai market, where, as you mentioned, you don't have, you didn't have much of a presence. What is your approach currently beyond the referrals, beyond the face-to-face networking events that you've spoken about? What is your approach to acquiring new clients?
Yes. In this case, we have two ways how we are acquiring new clients. On the first instance, Sarah and I, we had an offsite in May now, it's already 5 months ago, where we take out 5 days of our diaries, where we said, okay, we're locking the doors, and behind the door, we were building new products. Because in the past, we had already a certain variation of products where we thought, okay, this may be being interesting for our customers. But we realized, okay, these products aren't be 100% ready for the go-to-market. And therefore, we build new. And our outcome was, for example, that we are having now 3 new products. And the one product is HR as a service. The other one is payroll as a service. and the third one is CHRO as a service. All of these services having a different approach, how we can support our customers. It starts, for example, the CHRO as a service with high-level strategic support. And it's more like a hot phone where founders and company owners can call Sarah and me and saying, hey, we have an HR question and we need your support. And that goes more into the strategic and organizational development area, where we are giving with our together 25 years of experience, our feedback to company owners, how to set up their businesses and their organization. That could be a weekly call, that could be a bi-weekly call, depends on the setup and on the request. And this we are going down till HR as a service, where we are operating at the fully outsourced HR department. For example, for two smaller Daimler subsidiaries, we are doing exactly that. Because these subsidiaries that the whole Daimler corporate is on heavy technology with SAP and so on and so on. And they wanted to be a speedboat into the ecosystem of the Daimler corporates. And therefore, we said, okay, we set you up an environment and we are running all HR responsibilities. We are doing payroll, we are writing contracts, we are making recruiting, we are making people development, and so on and so on. So everything what you're thinking of what an HR department needs to do on a strategic and operational level, we are taking care of this. And therefore, we build these products where every customer can grab out what they need. And therefore, we are like a tool case for them with the Swiss Army knife in it. And we are supporting them on the whole landscape of things from an HR perspective, what they can think of. And this helps us a lot because these services are much more understandable than the services what we offered previously. And secondly, we are going into strong partnerships. So we are partnering, for example, here in the UAE with one of the free zone incubators who are founding companies in the UAE. They have over 30,000 clients, and we are offering our services to all of these clients because everybody has a HR need. And also, especially HR here in the region has a different perspective how HR is perceived and what their status is compared to the status of HR in the European market. And we are also partnering with software implementation, with softwares, with implementation partners, with technology partners. And we still have our network in Europe, but is also expanding more over the world. And therefore, word of mouth is still one of our biggest driver. But we also have a lot of sales partners who are selling our services with their services. And then we are always having a little revenue share.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly sounds like you're checking a lot of boxes there, which is great. So once a client project wraps up and finishes, what is your approach to retaining them as a client or expanding their offering? I mean, you've mentioned growing out your products. How do you look to expand or retain a client?
So we have a naturally project time of 3 to 12 months. So the interims mandates normally goes a little bit longer. The software implementation takes roughly 3 to 6 months, depends on the size of the customers. We're always offering support of the beyond of our engagement, but we are just offering also services for that what the customer actually really needs. So therefore, the classical standard of selling a health insurance or a life insurance to grandma who's already turned 90. This is not something what we are doing. So therefore, we are really exploring what is the need of the customer. And then we are also really expressed about that by saying, hey, from our perspective, we would recommend to do that, that, and that. And then the customer can decide if he would like to grab this opportunity or if he would like to pick the challenges later up. Therefore, for our ongoing projects, for example, where we're running the payroll, that runs through till the end, till they don't need us anymore. But they're saying, hey, for us, it's much better to have you on board instead of having a headcount blocked in our company where we have fixed cost. In your case, you bill it per hour. So therefore, if there's no work, you're not billing. So therefore, it's totally flexible for us. And if they're having huge demands, then we are also being available for them. And then we're working 12, 15 hours a day. Then we're working Saturday and Sunday. And during that time, we're getting a lot of stuff done. And when it comes to the retainer, we are offering it fully flexible on demand. So therefore, we have a couple of advisory mandates, for example, where I can absolutely not project when they are calling or when they are having questions. So therefore, every day is new, every day is different. And therefore, I really like what I'm doing because no day is comparable to another one because I never know what kind of requests we're getting. And that makes all the things super, super interesting. And therefore, I'm also not sacrificing not having a proper weekend because I actually really like what I'm doing. And therefore, I'm happy with the current circumstances.
Ben, if we look back over Scalify's journey the past 3 years, what's a major lesson that you've learned that's changed how you lead and how you build?
One of the major lessons is for sure that I have to follow my instinct. Over the past, I had a lot of leaders I was working with who wanted to tell me what is right, what is wrong, what I have to supposed to do. And maybe they were right. Maybe I was wrong. I don't know. And I don't judge it. But today I'm 110% trusting my instincts and believe from my experience that I know what is good for an organization, what is right for the people, and what is fair on the approach, how to set up an organization. And therefore, I have full trust in myself. And this is also what I'm sharing with my customers. Obviously and honestly, not every customer believes that what Sarah and I are saying, and these customers are following their own approach. And I'm saying today, in the past, it was not like this. In the past, I really wanted to convince them by that what I'm saying is right and you have to follow. Today, I'm expressing rather precisely what I think what is right. Either the customer understands and follows, but when the customer doesn't understand and don't want to follow, then I'm also fine with that. And this was a learning process for me. And therefore, I'm much more relaxed on that today. But it was a journey, what I had to realize, because I also had to understand that people are thinking differently and you cannot convince everybody. So therefore, I would say I pick my fight. I pick the fight what is most valuable to me. And therefore, I cannot win everything, but I hope that I will win the most important fights.
Yeah, that's certainly some sound advice. And if we look into the future, let's say the next 12 to 24 months, what's next for you and what's next for Scalify? What experiments or strategic bets are you most excited about in your future?
I have to say that here comes the perfect role split between Sarah and me into the game. Because I'm the person who's in the current present and having the projects what we're having, and I never know what comes within the next 3 months. So we're normally kind of safe for 3 months. That is kind of foreseeable, and then everything else beyond that is into the blue. Currently, the time phrase is a little bit shorter because I have currently an arrangement till end of October, and therefore, it could be that I have to search for new opportunities by the beginning of November, but it could also be that they're extending. I don't know. I will need to see. But Sarah is more the visionist in our relationship, and she's building currently a lot of more opportunities and products what we would like to bring to the market. Because in the future, for example, we are currently working on a questionnaire for HR readiness, with that questionnaire, every company can realize how far developed is their HR landscape and what are potential opportunities where they need to grow and build more focus on. And this gives every potential customer also the clarity that they can see, okay, where are potentially lever for improvements. And these kind of products, Sarah is producing a lot. And this is definitely something what we will focus on. And therefore, she's the driver, and I'm super happy with that. She always asks me for my feedback, but she's super autonomous with that.
Yeah, that's super exciting. And Ben, if our listeners and viewers want to connect with you, with Scalify, with Sarah, where's the best place that they can do that?
Yeah, so there are a couple of opportunities. So you're always free to contact me on LinkedIn. I have a Calendly link, so maybe we can share also my Calendly link. For sure, also my email address. And here in the UAE, everybody is using WhatsApp. So therefore, I'm also free to share my mobile phone number with you. Drop me a message. Don't try to call me because I'm getting a little bit pissed off when somebody is calling me, because then the people are always thinking, okay, I can interrupt you, whatever you're currently doing. So therefore, feel free to drop me a message, and then I will, within 24 hours, getting back to you.
Amazing. Well, Ben, thank you so much for the conversation and for joining us on the Aegance Offscript podcast. It's been a fascinating dive into Scalify and your journey to date and what your aspirations are over the coming year. I wish you, Sarah, and the broader team all the best, and we'll certainly keep my eye on the company to see how you start to tackle the next hurdles and opportunities that you've highlighted in the conversation.
Amazing. Thank you very much, Lawrence. Thanks for the opportunity to present Scalify. And yeah, if there are any further points I can help you with, I'm always grateful for doing so.
That's it for today's episode of the Aegance Offscript podcast. If this conversation sparks something within you, a thought, a question, or a new way of seeing your own business, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment down below. We'll catch you on the next one. Cheers.